Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. I hope all of you are doing well, preparing well for the upcoming examination with your full G-STEM enthusiasm. This is a video session on daily news and editorial analysis dated 22nd of January. Through this video session, I'll be discussing the important news and editorial both from the Hindu and Indian Express. The analysis of the discussion that we are going for the news will specifically cater the aspirant of Civil Services examination, State Public Service Commission examination and various one-day examination conducted across the country. So we'll see the importance of the news as per the relevance from the examination perspective. Let's get started. First, I'll give you the highlights of the news. Then we'll proceed with the in-depth analysis of each and every news one by one. Before that, I would like to tell you about the Nischay All India Test Series program, specifically meant for UPSC CSC Prelims 2024. We are providing 4900 plus questions. Along with that, there are video discussions, demo test and free magazine for content enrichment that will ensure that you have a comprehensive preparation for the upcoming prelims examination. For instant registration, you can use this QR code, and even in the description section down below, you can find a dedicated link to re-register yourself and even redirect it for the specific page. Do check it out. Now, starting with the news highlights of the day, the first important news about the Mosquitofish, which has become invasive in India. We'll see the detail to this. The second important news talks about the delegation that is reaching out to Zimbabwe to explore the part of copper mining and its opportunities. Third important news talks about the NISAR mission. India is having a collaborations with NASA. So this is the first time that ISRO and NASA is making a collaboration in terms of launching of some of the particular mission. We'll see the detail to this and its significance on that regard. The second last news talks about the part of simultaneous election. There was a specific committee, high-level committee headed by the former president of the country. We'll see the discussion on that part as well, and what are the opinion of the general strategy regarding the simultaneous poll or one nation, one elections. And I'll be concluding this session with the part of editorial that specifically talk about the Post Office Act 2023. It's part of the nature. It's the exclusive right which is given with the part of interceptions. उसको लेकर के काफी concern है. We'll see the detail to that as well. Let's get started with the in-depth analysis of each and every news one by one. So starting the first, that is the Mosquitofish has become invasive in India. Right now, this is something very important for general studies, specifically general studies paper 3 और prelims point of view से कई बार direct सवाल आपसे पूछे जा सकते हैं. Now, what is there in the news in context? So recently, the government and the non-profit organization has said that in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Punjab has introduced mosquitofish in the local water bodies to combat the mosquito problem, right? Now, here one thing is important to understand: what is invasive species? Invasive is also known as alien species, right? They are also categorized as alien species. Now, these alien species actually dominate the region, dominate the surrounding of the ecosystem, and that is a term that is used for invasive species, right? So they have the huge dominance at the part of other ecosystem, the part of the system they have been actually incorporated. So mosquitofish has become invasive in the country, in India. Now it will be a subsequent part where the questions will be asked about the invasive terms in general and about the mosquitofish in particular. Now, moving ahead with the background. So, अगर बात करें कुछ recent century में, there have been significant changes in the world climate habitat that has extended the proliferations of mosquito-borne disease. We have seen not only for India precisely, सिर्फ India में नहीं, globally भी cases report किए गए, right? And present, there are disease widespread across 150 countries. If you look at the number of the country, there are 150 country impacting 500 people individually, even at the global level, with a part of mosquito-borne diseases, right? Now, one among them is definitely malaria. And in India, approximately 40 million people are in contact with the mosquito-borne diseases, highlighting the part of endemic, which is there in even it called for in public challenges, which pose an illness with several decades. Now, what is required? We definitely need required to curb the part of मॉस्किटो proliferations और जो मॉस्किटो ब्रोन डिजीज हैं उनको कम करने की जरूरत है ना. दैट इज वन पॉइंट दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अदर देन दैट, what is mosquitofish? Now this is something that is you need to know. I mean, there's some basics can be there here and there for the prelims examination as such. So in 1960, if you look at precisely 1960 way back, there were some biological control methods which were adopted to combat the mosquito, including the part of introductions of Mosquitofish. It's a part of Gambusia fish. This is what the species name is. If it is asked in examination, you have to be aware of this name as well. It's known as Gambusia fish. Now, these methods were actually considered as environment friendly because we do not are using any chemical. It's a complete chemical free process, right? It's a chemical free process which posed even it does not pose such kind of the part of environmental and health risks, right? Now, mosquitoes, the part of the mosquito fish which is there, which is originally from United States. Now, this is a vital information. If it is asked, किस particular region से इसे induct किया गया, we have got it from the United States and have become widespread globally, and even various environmentalists with the adverse ecological impact. Now, it has become invasive in the country. उसके बाद और क्या-क्या चीजें हैं जो concern के लिए हैं? Let's see that. Is mosquito fish used in India as such? This is the one question that can be there. So, इस चीज का आंसर करने के लिए ICMR has actually played a key role in mosquito management, right? When it comes to the part of overall proliferations of mosquito, ICMR is a specific body by the government of India to ensure that they are taking an important and pivotal role in terms of their regulations. Now, it focuses on controlling the mosquito-borne diseases, conducting the research and effective strategy. There are certain strategies which ICMR in particular has been incorporating. Now, in 1928, Gambusia fish has been introduced by India in the British rule, and something the government organization like ICMR, NIMR, Municipal Corporation, Fish Department and private entities has also come with their joint effort to ensure that this fish is there in the particular native where specific proliferations of mosquitoes are there. Now, the goal was for the Gambusia was to control the mosquito larva because it eat it, and it basically make the things more controllable with the part of the proliferations of mosquitoes larvae. Presently, the Gambusia is widespread in India, creating self-sustaining populations, and even well-oriented strategy result in the unintended ecological and environmental issues. Now, what are the effects of mosquito fish had? What effects that is had? How does it have contributed, and what are the changes that has been brought in the ecosystem? So, mosquito fish is actually considered as highly invasive. This is what I told you at the beginning. So, this is considered as a highly invasive, rank among the top 100 detrimental alien species according to the wildlife, biological, and even the conservation list which is there. Now, this is the vital information which can be there in the prelims examination. It can ask you about the nature of this particular mosquito fish. So, it's a highly invasive one. Now, their resilience is actually vicarious, and even feeding habit is something which is behavior, and emphasizing on the need for the questions with the part of biological control methodology. Now, WHO की भी अपने remark है इसको लेकर के, the World Health Organization has stopped the recommendations of using Gambusia as a mosquito control agent in 1982 itself, because it found that the proliferation and even the final productions of the Gambusia make it things and they dominate the specific region, being the highly invasive in nature. In 2018, the National Biological Authority, जिसे NBA भी कहते हैं, National Biodiversity Authority, have actually come up with the designated C. ganifia and C. halbuca as an invasive alien species. So उन्होंने दूसरे varieties जो कंट्रोल है मॉस्किटो लार्वास को कंट्रोल करने के लिए नेशनल बायोडाइवर्सिटी अथॉरिटी ने दूसरे अल्टरनेटिव्स को भी एक्सप्लोर करने की कोशिश की थी. Now, how can mosquito fish be controlled? What are the measures that essentially required, considering the fact that there should be a scientific backing to it, right? So the current problem involves both immediate as well as long-term measures. So the National Center for Vector-Borne Diseases have recommended that using Gambusia or Polycia fishes for controlling the part of mosquito proliferations. And even it's suggested that instead, the expert has said that there can be mosquito biologists, enologists, and even other taxonomists that can come up with a few species which is capable of controlling the mosquito larva. So as of now, we can abstain using of Gambusia. There can be other alternative which can actually help, because Gambusia or the mosquito fish is highly invasive in nature. They dominate the specific region, allow, and even the part of ecosystem somehow being distorted. Releasing these invasive native species can effectively address the mosquito issues without ecological risk posed by the alien invasive species, right? So that is something challenges that is always there when it comes to the invasive alien species inserting into the ecosystem. Now moving ahead, industries delegations for the copper mining opportunities in Zambia. Now we'll see the details about the particular part. So the Ministry of Mines has actually sent industries delegations to Zambia for the discussions on the potential copper explorations and mining project. Now India is on the dire need of having the copper. We have huge industries. They're actually relying on that part. Certain part of the industries has been using. There are other industries that is also there. So we'll see the detail how relevant this is going to be. So the copper reserve in Zambia ki agar baat kare, it has 6%. If you look at the total part, 6% of the world copper reserve are there. And they are the 8th largest producers of copper as of 2022. The positions ki baat kare, they are 8th in the number and total part of the reserve is 6%. Now Zambia is also known for the copper mining, particularly in the copper belt region. The country economy is heavily dependent on copper mining and processing. Now we definitely need to take the advantage of that, and India is importing the copper from Zambia. We'll have a detailed committee which will be coming up with these suggestions as well. Now these are the part of the map which will help you understand about the depositions of the copper across the globe. So this is the world map detailing about the part of copper deposition and sentiment based copper deposit across the country. So these are the color code. You can have a reference for this. Now domestic copper demand की अगर बात करें, this is precisely I'm talking about India in general. So India की अगर बात करें, India की जो requirement है, किस किस sectors में ज़रूरत है? As per the International Copper Association of India, they have said that we require, the demand is almost close to 16%, right? While the demand of the copper in the energy sector has grew up to 32%, right? Now copper is widely used in construction sector, consumer durable, transport and industries manufacturing. तो ये कुछ important sectors हैं जहाँ पे इसकी use की जा सकती है ना. If you're writing in mains paper as such, आप ये बता सकते हैं. It is also used in the clean energy technology, including the solar panel, the EVs, which is there. Efficient motors. Now, China is a non-ferrous mining corporation, so is among the largest producers of copper in Zambia. Right? At the same time, the net import of the copper cathode is something which is based on the part of copper productions, which grew to 180% in the same year, where India is actually not self-sufficient in the part of domestic reserve. So the reason being, we are mostly importing from other countries now. A specific committee has been formed to look into the part of how we can import maximum on the part, and even our industries can be supported with the part of import that is there. Now, India's presence in the global mining sectors की अगर बात करें, currently India has a limited presence in Zambia's copper sector. Last September, Vedanta is it's a private company that has regained the control over the Konkan copper mine, which was seized by the Zambian authorities in 2019. उसके बाद ये Zambian government ने 20% stake लिया था KCM में, that is the Konkala copper mines. Now Vedanta has pledged that it will invest 1.2 billion in Zambia to increase the part of mining output, place outstretched debt. And India is not alone in the investing in Zambia. There are other countries that is also investing in the part of copper reserve. And ultimately, to a larger extent, India will ultimately benefit with the part of investment that we are having, right? Now, NISAR missions on track for the launch soon. Something very important, an official announcement there is from the NASA scientist. So NISAR stands for NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. This is what the NISAR actually made. This can be important for many other examination, one-day examination, where the full form is also asked. So it aims to monitor the Earth ecosystem and set for early 2024 launches. I have already made a discussion to NISAR in detail, but this is something, a consecutive follow-up news that we are following. Now, background की अगर बात करें, it's a pioneering Earth observatory satellite jointly developed by NASA, the one entity, and from India, the collaboration is from ISRO, right? So I think if it is asked about the collaborations, this would be pretty easy for you to answer that. Right? And it is scheduled for early 2024 launch. NISAR is the first collaboration program between the space agencies of India and United States. The project is expected to have the world's most expensive imaging satellite. Now, this is something which will have its lot of benefit, not only for India specifically, but it will contribute to a larger extent to United States and even to other countries that would be the beneficiaries of this particular missions. Now, about NISAR, it's a NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. It's actually as a mission that will be operating in LEO, that is a low orbit, right? Observatory being jointly developed by NASA and ISRO. It will map the entire globe in 12 days. Now, this is very significant and prominent. It has the ability that it can have mapped the entire globe within 12 days with the spatial and temporary consistence data understanding the challenges of Earth ecosystem. It carries LNS band with a systematic aperture radar and a sweep SAR technique to achieve the large swath and high resolutions data. NISAR will help the researcher to explore how the challenges in earth, forest and wetland ecosystem are affecting the global carbon cycle. So these are some of the significant advantages. These are the positive sides of having a NISAR mission specifically for India. Now you can have an image details. I mean, if you want to have a specific particular details, you can check out this the part of the image, the GPS antennas which is there, the part of solar arrays which is there, the SR feed apertures, SR electronic inside risk, and ISRO 13K aperture bus which is also attached. So these are some of the specific details in particular. If you want to know, you can take the screenshot. Now, what is the aim? The primary focus is definitely the part of ecosystem that is there. So it will contribute on the part of the wetland, specifically the part of forest, and even interesting the climate scientists. The innovations will provide detailed insight to the types of ecosystem, that is forest and wildlife. उसके अलावा मैंने आपको बताया 12 days में ये सारी mapping कर पाएंगे, capable of penetrating the cloud cover, operating in day and night. NISAR is expected to revolutionize the Earth observation capabilities, and it will also enable the researcher to study the deforestation, glacier melt, and significant knowledge about the climate changes, right? So definitely it has a point where India will be specifically benefited. We have a lot of other commitment at the global forum. India is aiming to achieve the entire net zero emissions by 2070. So some or other things will be actually benefited with this part of missions. Now moving ahead, high level committee on simultaneous elections, or you can better call it ONOE, that is One Nation, One Elections. So a high level committee was actually formed under the chairmanship of former President of the country, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, and there was a response which was sought from the citizen. The response was actually received, and it says that 20,000 response was received. On that particular response, 81%, this is what the data is, 81% people has affirmed the idea of simultaneous election. This is what the committee has actually come up with the details. The suggestions were also invited from 46 political parties. Now, One Nation, One Election, I think it's pretty common for you to understand what this concept is all about. The idea was actually mooted several years ago, where the recommendations were also from the Law Commission of India. Law Commission of India ने भी इसके बारे में recommend किया था. The main idea is to have a simultaneous poll both for the Lok Sabha and for the state assemblies. Why? Because it's always the model code of conduct which is in place, and it distorts the part of welfare programs and when the government functioning. The central government has been citing the financial burden as well. This is another problem that is there, right? The continuous elections process obstacles the development work. 22nd Law Commission. Now, this is 22nd Law Commissions that was constituted for a period of 3 years to understand the part of its consequences. It is headed by Justice Rituraj Avasthi at its chairperson, right? The commission is also framing a tentative timelines about the simultaneous poll for 2024 and 2029 cycles. Definitely for 2024, it is not going to be there. I mean, it's only close to a month or two left to have the announcement from the Elections Commission. But likely we can have an anticipations by 2029. There can be possibilities looking for the One Nation, One Elections. Now, what is the argument in favor of ONOE? So the primary argument which favors the simultaneous election is twofold. First, that it will decrease the cost of conducting elections and even make it more electronically part. The second, that it will free up the political parties from being permanent campaign mode, और ये allow करेगी governance में focus करने को, and even it will ensure that things are put in place, the welfare policies, programs, monitoring is done in a right time basis. Now, disadvantages of the particular part, जहाँ पे अगर बात करें कुछ constitutional और legal framework में भी इसके concerns raise किए गए हैं. The criticism of simultaneous election has raised with a few objections. First is the logistic nightmare for conducting the simultaneous elections with a little of 1.4 billion total population. It will be a tough task. Churning this out will be definitely a burden for elections commissions as well. Second is the incompatibility of the rigid elections for the timetable with the fundamental of the parliamentary democracy. Now, moving ahead with the editorial for the day that talks about the Post Office Act 2023, the latest bill which was recently passed both by the the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. It says that is the unprecedented power of interceptions, जो कि बड़ी concern है oppositions के लिए. So what we'll be looking, first we'll look at the background of this, the provisions, the key changes, the concern over the right to privacy and the way forward. Now December में President of India ने approve किया था Post Office Bill 2023 को, and it aims to replace the outdated Post Office Act of 1898. So this was a colonial act which was still operational before this bill was actually passed. So the new bill has raised concern from the opposition's party regarding the unchecked power for the post office authorities for an interceptions of the item. Now this is the whole sole concern in this particular Post Office Act, the new act, and I personally feel that government should be more transparent when it comes to the part of checking, and even the accountability should be set for the officers, which is missing on this particular part. The newly enacted act does not have any provisions with the procedural safeguard and even dispels fear of misuse of the substantial provisions of the interceptions, right? That is the sole more concern that the article is highlighting on this. So first we'll see the provisions of that. So the provisions allow the central government to authorize any specific officers. Now this officers will be authorized to check the parcel in the part of the notions that if it is tampering the part of the state security, foreign relations, public order, public safety or any kind of legal violation. अगर ये सारी बातों को satisfy करते हुए अगर कोई product कोई shipment ऐसी लगती है तो उनको वो intercept कर सकते हैं. This kind of provisions is there for the national security as well. It aims to regulate the part of efficient, established modern legislation and even promote a platform जहाँ पे citizen centric delivery system बनाई जाएगी. ये government की main provisions में ये सारी बातें highlight की गई. The bill seeks to empower the Director General of Postal Services to frame regulations in respect of activities to provide those with the services and fixed charges for such services as well. Now, key changes that has been incorporated under the new bill, that is for 2023, जो नई bill आई है postal services की, उसमें क्या-क्या changes लाए गए हैं? पहले तो exclusive power दी गई है central government को, right? और ये provide करेगी postal, even providing the issuance of postal stamp under the prescribed route by the central government. And the bill also states that the post office will have an exclusive privilege issuing the postal stamps. Now, the other key features include the service to be prescribed. ये act specify करेगी postal offices को to include the delivery of the particular items including letter, postcard, parcels and money orders, and it will provide the post officers to provide service prescribed by the central government. So wholesale, the central government, the union government has an exclusive power with regards to the past of postal services. Now, power to intercept, this is the highest controversial part that has been there. Union government ने इस बिल को पास करने के बाद जो ऑफिसर्स हैं पोस्टल ऑफिसर्स उनको अलाउ किया है कि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी, पब्लिक सिक्योरिटी और किसी भी चीज़ जो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी, पब्लिक ऑर्डर, फॉरेन रिलेशंस को इम्पैक्ट करती हैं उस सस्पिशंस में पार्सल को चेक की जा सकती है. देयर इज अ पावर फॉर इंटरसेप्टिंग द शिपमेंट्स. Now, the concern over right to privacy has always been there. It has been pretty evident with the part of K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, where the right to communications has been held as a part of right to privacy, with and protected under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Article 17 में International Convent for Civil Procedures Rights की बात की गई है, जो Treaty India ने rectify किया है. And even unlawful interference with the privacy is something which should not be appreciated and it should be considered as an illegal act. According to the Directive Principle 51C of the Constitution, the international conventions must be respected unless they are in the conflict of the domestic laws. Now, way forward की अगर बात करें, ये जो बिल पास हुई है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को एक्सक्लूसिव पावर देती है, and even it addresses the identifier and the use of the postal codes. The provisions have a far-reaching impact on the physical addressing with the part of digital code, geospatiality, and even the specific premise. See, it has a positive side as well, but the negative side has been dominating by the oppositions, and even to a larger extent, the people of the country has been concerned about the point of interception, the exclusive power given to the officers. The new postal officers ensure various citizen-centric services that has a strong legal framework, and the newly enacted act does not make any provision for the procedural safeguard that has to be there for dispersed officer for misuse of substantial provision or the interception. ये सबसे बड़ी कंसर्न है. अगर उस ऑफिसर्स से कोई मिस्टेक होती है, फिर विद अ वेस्टेज इंटरेस्ट और फॉर ड्यू इंटरेस्ट, अगर इस तरह की बातें आए तो उसके प्रीनल प्रोविजंस क्या है, हाउ देयर शुड बी lessons that has to be learned. This is something very important, and I personally feel it has to be taken into consideration because interceptions ठीक है, अगर कोई मैल प्रैक्टिसेस से या मैल इंटेंशन से की जा रही है तो उसके लिए penal provisions की मैंडेट होनी चाहिए. Now moving ahead with the answers and discussion for the yesterday questions. For first, the correct option is B. You can check out your option, what you have marked as a correct option. For second question, the correct option is C. Here both statement 1 and option 2 is correct. Now today's MCQ for questions. The first question is about the semiconductor in the country. This is something very important. The doping of the process add impurity to intrinsic material, and impurity is called despond. Silicon, gallium and the part of it is mostly wide used as a semiconductor. The design link incentive scheme was actually approved in India's semiconductor mission. To participate in the question answer, simply write question number 1 followed by your correct option, and you can drop down your answer in the comment section down below. For second question, consider the following statement with regards to Atal mission for regeneration of the urban transport. It is designated to provide the universal supply coverage through the tap household in statutory towns in the part of the country. It promotes circular economy through the development of city water based plan. So again, you can participate. We eagerly look for your answers. So simply write A, B, C or D, choosing your options as the logical reasoning come up. If you have read, it would be very easy for you to answer these questions. And this will definitely help you in aid in the part of upcoming prelims examination. So this was all about the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern about test series, admissions, new courses, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying connected.